In a bustling city full of shiny cars and polished streets, an old, beat-up and rattled down the avenue every morning. Its faded blue paint peeled off in flakes, the muffler coughed smoke, and one of the headlights hung loose like a tired eye. Behind the wheel sat Mr. Elijah Carter, a tall, dark-skinned man in his late 70s. His back was straight despite his age, his eyes sharp beneath a weathered cap. To most passers-by, he was just that old man with the rusty van. Children pointed and laughed. Teenagers took pictures, mocking him on social media. Wealthy businessmen sneered as he parked in front of the coffee shop, saying things like, "Why doesn't he just throw that junk away? Look at him, must be broke." What they didn't know was that Elijah was no ordinary old man, and that Rusty even held a history that would silence every laugh one day. Every Saturday, Elijah drove his van to the farmer's market. Vendors recognized him, but strangers ridiculed him. A group of young men once shouted, "Hey, old man, your van belongs in a junkyard." Elijah simply smiled, tipped his cap, and carried his groceries. He never fought back, never explained himself. But deep down, he remembered days when respect wasn't demanded by appearance. It was earned in battlefields far away. That van wasn't junk to Elijah. It was a companion. The same van that carried him home from military service decades ago. The same van in which he transported fellow veterans to hospitals, funerals, and reunions. It was rusty, yes, but it was sacred to him. Elijah had served in 2 wars. He was one of the first African-American paratroopers to jump behind enemy lines when America was still struggling with segregation. He had endured bullets, bombs, and betrayal from his own countrymen who didn't see him as equal. But through it all, he had carried his unit to safety, saved lives, and earned medals that now sat locked in an old box inside his van. His children had moved to other cities, too busy to visit. His neighbors saw only an old man. Nobody knew his story because Elijah never bragged. He lived humbly, repairing broken radios for kids, fixing bikes for free, and giving to the homeless from his pension. He wasn't chasing applause, but life has a way of revealing truth at the right time. One cold morning, Elijah pulled into a gas station. His van wheezed and sputtered, drawing stares. A group of flashy young men laughed, recording him. "Look at this old guy. Russ Bucket's about to die," one jeered. "Bet he can't even afford a real car," another mocked. Elijah just nodded, filled his tank, and left quietly. But a young soldier in uniform who had been standing nearby noticed something. As Elijah opened the van door, a small insignia pin gleamed on his cap, an airborne division emblem. The soldier froze. When Elijah's rusty van rolled up to the military base, crowds of civilians laughed. "Whose grandpa brought that wreck?" they joked. But then, something changed. Soldiers standing at the gate noticed the insignia on his cap. One by one, they straightened. Then they saluted. The laughter stopped. As Elijah stepped out of the van, a wave of soldiers, young and old, lined up, saluting with precision and respect. A commanding officer shouted, "Attention! Salute the legend!" The crowd gasped. The same man they mocked was being treated like royalty. Cameras that once recorded him for ridicule now captured tears, awe, and reverence. He knew that symbol. He had studied it in military history. Only the bravest wore it. Days later, Elijah received a letter in his rusty mailbox. It was an invitation from the U.S. Army Veterans Association. "You are requested as an honored guest at the annual Heroes Ceremony this Sunday." Elijah chuckled softly, folding the letter. He hadn't attended such events in years. His van was too old to make the long drive, but something in his heart told him to go. So, early Sunday morning, he polished the windshield with an old rag, tightened the loose headlight with duct tape, and prayed the van would hold together. When Elijah's rusty van rolled up to the military base, crowds of civilians laughed. "Whose grandpa brought that wreck?" they joked. But then, something changed. Soldiers standing at the gate noticed the insignia on his cap. One by one, they straightened. Then they saluted. The laughter stopped. As Elijah stepped out of the van, a wave of soldiers, young and old, lined up, saluting with precision and respect. A commanding officer shouted, "Attention! Salute the legend!" The crowd gasped. The same man they mocked was being treated like royalty. Cameras that once recorded him for ridicule now captured tears, awe, and reverence. On stage, the general handed Elijah a microphone. He hesitated, his voice deep but humble. "I'm no hero," he said. "I only did what needed to be done, for my brothers in arms, for the country we love. I drove this van home after the war, and I've kept it ever since. It reminds me that service isn't about luxury, it's about sacrifice." Gasps rippled through the audience. Screens displayed his records, medals of honor, commendations, photos of him carrying wounded soldiers under fire. The Rusty van became a symbol. Veterans touched it with respect, saying, "This van carried our stories." A foundation offered to buy Elijah a new car, but he refused. "This van is my history," he said. "I don't need shine when I already have purpose." Soon, the city honored him with a parade. His van led the procession, flags flying from its windows, as thousands clapped and saluted. Elijah's story spread nationwide. Reporters no longer mocked the Rusty van. They called it a moving monument of sacrifice. And Elijah, he simply returned to his quiet life, fixing radios, helping neighbors, and smiling as children no longer laughed but waved at the hero with the van. Backhand index pointing right. Moral of the story: respect is not in the car you drive or the clothes you wear. It's in the life you've lived and the sacrifices you've made. So next time you see someone who looks ordinary, remember, they may carry extraordinary stories. Folded hands, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring stories.